Hey y'all, welcome back to the Community Well podcast. It is your host, Ayobiojo. I'm back, y'all. Solo episode this week. I hope you all are doing well. I am I'm so happy to be with you guys. I really am. I It's just going differently than what I expected. Y'all know I like to get right into it, so let's do it. But it's just going differently than I expected. I didn't expect so many solo episodes, but yeah, here we are. I had a whole plan for this season to have guests come in and really break down the different areas of wellness. And as I'm walking in this journey, um, myself in improving in the different areas of wellness, like it's like I'm being tested in it and I gotta walk it out. And one of the things I'm being tested on is vulnerability and transparency. Fun times. Oh, in community, right? The whole purpose of our podcast, of our village, of our community. And I'm laughing because, it's been a week. It has been a week. Uh, sorry. But let's start with, I guess I'll check in. I'm doing okay. Physically, it's been a challenge physically. I honestly am navigating these physical health challenges and navigating doctor's appointments and the healthcare system, which is a whole different conversation. Um, just really having a hard time in that aspect of like having to advocate for myself as a Black Latina in pain and people really believing you about your pain is a whole different level of frustration. And I had encountered that in the past. But having to do it again and deal with it again in one of the most vulnerable times of your life when you're in pain is really, really challenging. Um, you know, my husband is still not feeling well. And so having to solo parent um, most of the time, it's been a challenge, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. I, you know, it's a season that we've been in before because we have had health challenges, unfortunately, for many, many years. But I think what makes it different in this season is that I really feel like God wants me to share more. I mean, there's different things about this season that are different, but one of them is that I want to shut everything down again and just focus on myself and my crew and my husband. And I can't because it's not just work. This is ministry. This is all the things I do. My goal is for them to lead back to Christ. And so when I'm weak, he is strong, right? Like people will see Christ really working in us because how we do what we do and everything that we do behind the scenes that we don't show or all the things or how we navigate the season is really only because of God, God's grace, God's love, and so I have to push through. I have to push through. Some of these lessons I have to learn with my peoples and live and heal out loud. And, the whole reason that the Community Well podcast exists was from my challenges that I encountered in silence, dealing with mental health issues in silence. And I almost died in silence. So I have to live out loud, but now I have to heal out loud this aspect, right? When I dealt with PTSD and severe depression, from my teenage years until my early 20s, until God healed me and delivered me, I struggled in silence. And I said, never again will I do that. Never again will I shut down a part of me to sort of fit into this world and make everybody else happy. Because a lot of people can't deal with vulnerability and transparency. And a lot of people are like, oh, you're oversharing. And granted, there may be a space for that, but I feel like a lot of times we shut down because we don't want to overshare or we think we're a burden. And so I said, I'm never going to do that again. And I'm going to be the one to create a space and an environment for other people to do that. And that's why our guests come in. If you listen to previous episodes, especially when we first started, people shared what they were an expert in because you become an expert. When you encounter a challenge, you become an expert in that thing. You have expertise to share with others. And also, you are very much human. You're very much human and you're going through things that you need support in. So, what are some of the things you're dealing with now? What are some challenges that you're dealing with now? And we pour into the well, we take from the well. And that's the whole idea of the Community Well podcast and the Community Well Co. And for me, now having to live it out again, I'm like, oh, geez, you know? And it helps me because as I help others, it's a constant reminder, like it's fresh, right? So it's my ability to relate to other people that are going through it. I'm more empathetic, because I'm going through it and it's fresh, that kind of thing. But yeah, so it's been a challenge. I'm navigating a lot. Some of the wins, though, is sort of the slowing down, right? When you slow down, God is able to do so much. So I've gotten so much revelation, just so much. It's almost overwhelming how much I've gotten from the season of slowing down. And well, I've only slowed down the past few days or weeks, if I'm being honest, because I've been pushing through pain for the past few months. But the past few days, it's been like so much clarity around stuff that I've been missing. And I'll talk a little bit about that today, but I'm titling this why is my life falling apart? Yeah, help. Why is my life falling apart? And in this season, there's so much that's being challenged, and I know people can probably relate that it feels like I was striving for wellness and working on these goals, and all of a sudden, I feel like my life is falling apart. I'm losing my job, or I hate my job. My kids are getting on my nerves. My marriage is getting tested, our finances are getting tested, my relationships, like I feel like I'm not talking to my friends as much. I have no social interaction. I don't even have a community. I feel like my life is falling apart. And those are just some random examples for me, obviously with the physical health challenges, it impacts so many different things. It slows things down, impacts, social relationships in a different way. If I don't reach out, especially, it can look like I'm ignoring people. Slowing down on producing for like as an entrepreneur or whatever. Um, impacts obviously my relationship with my kids. I thank God that my family is so resilient, but it is hard to show up. There's a difference between parenting. We're parenting, but I like and am intentional about spending time with my kids, one on one with my kids. Running around from activity to activity to me is not building relationship. And so being compassionate towards myself while I'm navigating that and communicating with my kids what our family is going through, you know, all of it can be challenging and can, if you allow it, like we were talking about last time, is just having that initial thought and letting it spiral. Like if I allow it, it can make me feel like, my life is low key falling apart, like little by little. And then the car get messes up, or like, something random like your lights go out and you don't pay the bill. Whatever randomness that adds to the layers of feeling like your life is falling apart will continue to spiral if you don't stop the thought and control the thoughts and go back to God with the thoughts. And so for me, I'm glad that like I said, slowed down. And so I'm able to know that this season, my life is definitely not falling apart. It is okay. I have learned all the things I need to learn. I have all the tools, the resources that I need to get through this. And I know that God has something greater. God has something greater. And I think for a lot of people or whoever needs to hear this, your life is not falling apart. What if it's all falling apart for it to fall into place the way that God needs it to? Because a lot of times, these situations, these storms, they just give us room to look at things differently. That you wouldn't have stopped had certain things not happened. You wouldn't have slowed down had certain things not shifted. If God didn't make you uncomfortable where you were, you wouldn't have moved, that kind of thing. And so if you're going through a hard time, you know, not necessarily that God created it, but how may He be using this time to have things fall into place? What in your life is like screaming, because that change needs to happen. And what are the changes that need to happen in that area? What are the changes that need to happen in that area? Um, like I said, for me, the biggest one was um, community and healing in community. I did a post recently on social media about healing in community and the importance of healing in community. And I had gotten away from that and I didn't realize how much the past few years had have impacted me. From 2021 until until now. We went through a series of things that I shared last season when we lived in Georgia, right? There was a time that we were supposed to move and we decided to stay in Georgia. And so that season really impacted us. The consequences of being disobedient are real. And something happened. I started seeing people differently and I started getting more like almost like grouchy with people, like less patience for people, if I'm being honest. And not patient in a way that you would think, but that wasn't like me. Because at the core, I'm very patient. I love people. Um, oh no, my phone's screaming that it's out of storage. Um, I love people. I'm patient and, probably too patient. And that's where Jesus comes in because he's like, you're not a doormat. Um, and so I became more closed in. And then moving from Georgia to Texas, not knowing anyone or knowing very few people because my family, I do have family that lives close, but I hadn't been around them since I was like 8 years old. And I'm a very different person than I was when I was 8 years old. And just navigating those those different aspects of community because there's different levels of community and I haven't tapped in all the way. And I think that's why I get these solo episodes because even in this aspect, I'm like, I don't want to show up on the podcast crying. I don't want to do that. But why? You guys are my people. Y'all are my people. I get to be vulnerable and transparent. Like literally, that's why God gave me this platform and this podcast was for other people, but also for me. And so I don't know that I've been leaning in all the way with y'all and letting y'all in on the not so good things because I don't want to. It's like I want to come in and pour, but I don't want to take too much from y'all. But not knowing that I may be depriving y'all of something because there's power in vulnerability. And some of the things that I'm learning and the lessons that I'm learning, I could be hindering y'all. Do you know what I mean? And that's wild to me because it's like what I'm trying to not do is what I'm doing. Does that make sense? Like for me, like this podcast is not about curating content, only curating content. I want to be authentic. I want to be vulnerable. I want to be transparent. I want it to be different. And I really want us to be a community that leans on one another. But I have to walk that, right? In the moment. Because I've been vulnerable and transparent in some seasons, like when things happen, like when I moved from Georgia to Texas and that kind of stuff. But in these harder seasons, leaning into this community and leaning into like the greater community. I had this interaction at Walmart that I'll share with you guys, but this is so bad, y'all. But I was like, I don't really want to talk to people. I had just dropped off Gianna. I was in a baby funk. It wasn't too much of a funk, but I woke up in pain. The hubby was in pain, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be another challenging day. But it was like I had to like repent because it was like my first thought. Like instead of being like, thank you God for waking me up, I was like, oh, it's gonna be another hard day. And I was like, oh, we gotta shift that. But I was still like in the residue of that thought and just feeling like I just want to I had a meeting, get my meeting done, record, and just go to sleep. And I went to Walmart and I was like, self-checkout, please. And I'm like looking the other way. I'm like, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to interact. And then I looked to the left and the gentleman was like, the cashier was like, hey, are you ready? Are you all set? I was like, yeah, I'm ready. It's like I just didn't want to talk to people. I just, and my interaction with him was so sweet and uplifting. He was an older gentleman and he was just really funny. Like he was like, just leave your stuff right there. He was bagging stuff and I was gonna grab the bags as he was bagging. He was like, just leave the stuff there. You can leave it there until we get to the fun part where you pay me. I was like, I don't really know how that's fun. And just like this going back and forth with him in like a funny way, but like like human interaction, right? And then like a lady passed by and she's laughing at our interaction. And that's how I used to live my life, y'all. I used to live in a way where my joy was contagious, and that was like a ripple effect. And I believed in like looking at people, calling people by name. And that's what I mean by the larger community. You go to Walmart, every interaction counts. People walking down the parking lot, I'm smiling, I'm using people's names. Like I was that person. And I've little by little come into this shell because people have changed after COVID. And I was kind of blaming other people for changing because I was like, some people are so angry. And I'm like, ugh. And instead of being the change that I want to see, I know it sounds corny or whatever, I started becoming more like the people I was talking about. Yikes. So I was dimming down my light in a different way because I'm just naturally at my core just this joyful person that's just like I want to interact with people. And as I'm saying that, I'm thinking about my Gigi girl. She's my twin by nature. Sis wants to talk to everybody. She just wants to spread kindness and joy. And I'm like, I just want to go home. I don't want to talk to people. And I think there may be people out there like me that you're like, I'm older. I don't want to be bothered. I want to be in my cocoon. And I just want to offer that possibly it has been life circumstances, life's challenges, and how the world is changing, but that you at the core don't really want that all the time. All the time. Because don't get me wrong, I still want to stay home cozied up because there's an aspect of me that is a homebody. There is a part of me that is an introvert. I want to stay home and read and just be in my cocoon, but not all the time. That there's something about life and interacting with others that sparks joy because that's why we're here. That's why we're here. And we want deeper relationships and deeper connections, but the little interactions count too. And so it's like looking at community, the larger levels. And if you think about a bullseye, is that outer ring. And as it goes in, the people in the middle, those are the people you tell everything to. They hold you down. And I have my people and I've been reaching out to them and allowing them, making space for them to, help me and take care of me in this season because I'm worthy of being taken care of as well. I take care of others, and sometimes it could be hard and difficult to receive the love and the support because sometimes it's like I don't want to burden other people. And it's, interesting because I work with my clients on that and not feeling like they're a burden to others. And I know that I'm not, obviously. I know that I'm not a burden because I've built relationships with these people. Um, but again, those thoughts, if you do not get those thoughts, they will spiral and they will impact every aspect of your life. And so in this episode, I really want us to look at our life. What are the things that are falling apart, that feel impossible, that feel difficult? Lean in. What is God teaching you in that season? How can community help? What are some ways that you have been showing up that isn't really like you, that life has taught you to be that way, but you're not really that way. And so you're missing out on really truly living. And I also wanted to sort of challenge us to think about living fully and living well. Living fully and living well. I had a conversation with my coach about living fully, that a lot of us are watching others live their life fully. And we are sort of in this matrix of just like living in like the news and like everything that comes on social media. And like these people are living their life, and we're like, I want to live like them, but we're not living. We're simply living in our heads, overthinking and not doing, not executing, not living, watching others live, having a desire to live. So we keep it like internalized, and that's making us so exhausted. I say all the time that you can't take a nap if it's your soul that's tired. And a lot of our souls are tired because we're not living this life fully. We're watching other people and we're not living well because sometimes we don't realize that we're not well because we're not sick. So, right now, some of you can identify with me because you are navigating a really hard time or an illness. But some of y'all are like, I'm good. Things are good. I'm not sick. And we have to remember that the absence of illness is not wellness. Just because you're sick doesn't mean that you are well. It's a spectrum. On one end is illness, on the other side is wellness, and the middle is this stagnant place. And a lot of times we stay in this middle place because it's like, I'm all right. I'm good. But what is God calling you to do in order to live fully and to live well? Because maybe you're too comfortable. Maybe you're too comfortable where you are. And this is kind of like a little sign before things shake up. Because sometimes God will be like, shake it, shake it, shake it. Let's turn let's make you uncomfortable so that you can go in the direction that I want you to go, which is living fully and living well and connecting with others so that we can help one another live fully and live well. That is why we're here on earth, to live fully, to live well, to walk out our purpose, and to do it in community and do it with one another. And I feel like we are really, really far from that as a community. As a society, we're like isolating ourselves and getting comfortable where we are and watching other people, or other people are living their best life. There's like a percentage of people that are sort of living their best life. Other people are curating this life to have other people watch it. It's like this, interesting space. And so we have to take a step back and really analyze where we are, what we want. I am so happy to be able to walk alongside y'all in this season. And hopefully we'll have guests soon again. Um, but in the meantime, I'll continue to share those snippets, those lessons that I'm learning because I need to pass this test. No, I'm just kidding. It's not just about passing this test. It's really about, well, I do want to pass the test because I don't want to repeat it. But I too want to live fully and live well. I just don't want to be just to be, because there's more to life. And I've experienced it. I've experienced living full and living well. And so I know that that's the space that I want to be in again. And so being kind to myself, being gentle with myself where I am is for a reason. And I have my people, I have my community, I have y'all. And so I'm going to lean in. I'm going to lean in, and I really hope that you all will lean in with me. I love you all so much. I will see you on the next episode. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like, follow, do all the things. TikTok, Instagram. I haven't been really posting on Facebook like that. I should. YouTube, all the things. And I'll see you on next week's episode. I love y'all. Bye, y'all.